All right, we'll start this off. Can everybody hear me all right? We're all good out there? Thank you all for joining us today. My name is John Tozer, and I think you all are in for a treat. We're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to do a little fireside roundtable chat with three experts of the industry, talking about what we all came here to talk about: trucking, freight, technology, and how it all works together. If you don't have fun today, Chad has already said he has some drink tickets. So regardless, we're going to have some fun either during this hour or right after. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce myself, and then we're going to go and introduce all of our experts over here. And then we're going to start that Q&A portion with the folks on the stage. If we have some time at the end, we'll open it up to the audience for Q&A as well. Like I said, my name is John Tozer. Little background, I started my career in military aviation. Flew helicopters in the Navy for just over a decade, did some multiple deployments there, and then decided it was about time to grow up. So I got out in 2019. I co-founded a company called Neutral, which was a digitally first two-sided marketplace in the over-the-road freight market, connecting brokers and carriers almost entirely via API. So real loads, real vetted brokers, real vetted carriers. We did that for about 7 years, and in July of last year, through an acquisition, I joined the highway team to stand up what we call the Trusted Freight Exchange. The Trusted Freight Exchange is that's the business unit that I'm running right now, and it's a two-sided exchange connecting brokers. But the vetting that we had done previously is far more robust than the Trusted Freight Exchange. We do a creditworthiness check on the broker. We make sure that there's never a ghost load posting. It's all real loads from an integration, from a system of record, which is typically a TMS, either a homegrown one or an out-of-the-box one. On the carrier side, TFX is free and always will be free for carriers to come in, to search, and to digitally transact on that freight, that real freight. And we know at Highway we've asked a lot from carriers over the past, and this is our approach at giving back to those folks that we've asked. So we do have some upfront friction on both sides of that exchange in order to participate in the exchange, but we purposely make it a little bit more friction on the front end so that we can reduce and eventually eliminate that friction on the back end so that you can digitally transact. You can call the people that your relationship people at the brokers that are on the platform. So that's my shameless plug for TFX, and now over to the fun stuff. I'm going to give it over to Matthew here to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Matthew Mack Weller. Going on 2 years ago, I started a company called Guild Transportation. Before that, I was in the Air Force for 5 years, left the Air Force, and joined a company called Recruit Military, where I helped write the first draft of the Veterans CDL Act of 2012. From there, I went and worked for Panther as a recruiter, and then from there I decided to start driving myself. And then a couple years ago, this guy over here put a bug in my ear that I need to go start my own carrier, so I did that 2 years ago. So that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Khalid.
Hey guys, my name is Khalid Ziadat. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for CB Freight. We operate about 200 units. We got 170 flatbeds and 30 reefers. I've been in transportation, this year will be 15 years. I started back in 2011. I started at FedEx, worked my way up, then got my CDL, and been around carriers for about 7 years after that. So currently, like I said, our operations run about 200 trucks. Shout out to my boss and the CB family up front. But yeah, we're here to talk about Highway and hopefully helping you guys understand how Highway works maybe better and a little bit more about trucking. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Got the plug, you see?
Okay. Thank you. I hope I get a hand clap. My name is Chad Boblet. I'm the founder of Rate Per Mile Masters. Not a lot of people in here, but I always have to start this off with, raise your hand if you know the Facebook group Rate Per Mile Masters. Okay, all right. That's 75%. I did that same question at a TIA event, and which is mostly brokers and the CEOs of carriers, and almost everybody raised their hand. Anyway, I started this Facebook group. Actually, it would be 12 years this month, and it's been going strong for that long. Probably one of the longest-lasting Facebook group that is a good communication for brokers and agents and carriers and owner-operators. And before that, So I've been doing that for 12 years, and I've been a carrier since 2011. And before that, I got out of the Marine Corps in 2006. I was a company driver up until 2011, and that's me.
Thank you, Chad. So I'm using my phone just so I stay on track and ask the right questions. I can get us in trouble if I don't. So let's start with Matthew. We'll start with you, and we'll start with just like kind of a snapshot. What do you think is one trend in trucking that is overhyped, and what is one trend that might be underappreciated right now?
Let's start with the underappreciated. The relationships that you can establish with the brokers and even the shippers that you're working with. I have a phenomenal relationship with Alan Lund. Been working with them since day one. It was actually tied to the account that I have. They basically said, hey, Alan Lund, you need to work with him. And we've had a great relationship since. I think the overhyped right now is AI integration with absolutely everything. A lot of us are getting constant AI calls now, and it's just oversaturation. I think that the extreme point at this point.
Do you think it's the AI agents that are handling the inbound calls from the carrier, or are you seeing AI agents calling outbound as well?
I get constant inbound AI calls, but not from brokers themselves. It's always dispatch services. And then, yes, the having to maneuver past an AI at some of the brokers is sometimes very annoying.
Gotcha. Khalid, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, going back to the AI, I think for us as carriers, AI I think is great in a lot of things in trucking. Obviously, I think we just need to focus on where we use it. And talking about that inbound, for us as carriers, like we don't work with any brokers that have AI carrier sales reps, for instance. We still believe in that personal touch. Freight's still that much valuable than an AI guy deciding to give that load. I understand there's like checks and balances, but that's one thing on the AI side that's kind of overhyped. In our opinion.
What about underappreciated right now?
Underappreciated stuff. I mean, I would say from the operations side, a lot of the data out there for pricing and stuff like that on the operations side, I think people need to drill more into the micro lane analysis in operations as where they're positioning, and we're going to talk about the vitality of the positioning, the assets, and drilling down to understanding the lanes of where you're running, and pretty much managing your fleet and managing the pricing for that lane versus looking at a number for a state or a national average, versus an exact lane too. So understanding those is very underappreciated, I think, and underhyped in this market too.
Awesome. Chad, what do you think, man?
Well, underappreciated, overappreciated. Ask the question.
What is under?
I'm worded the right way. Go ahead.
I got you, man. What are the trends in the industry right now that are underappreciated and the trends that are overhyped?
Overhyped would be FSD. So in better words, what the way truck drivers address it. We have a lot of conversations in my Facebook group, and I talk about Tesla for a reason. I own one. I'm probably one of the first in Kentucky to have a Tesla Cybertruck, the Beast, and so I'm kind of fast. Well, after getting it, it was a big fascination of mine to get it, and the trucking community overhypes the idea of autonomous trucks. As far as putting a time frame of when it will happen, I don't like to put a time frame on it. It's coming fast. It will happen. But what will happen before autonomous trucks that will affect trucking is robotics and AI. We will see the effects of those two, of AI and robotics, before we have the effects of autonomous trucks. Meaning, people, when jobs starts getting replaced in factories by robots, those people by default will leave the factory and seek trucking first, because trucking won't be autonomous at that time. Robotics will come first, and those people will seek trucking. And then, of course, like we've seen in the past, when a lot of people come into trucking, that will have a negative impact and drive down rates. And to that, so FSD, someone that currently haven't driven a car in probably over a year, means more than probably 2 or 3 miles. My car does all the driving, so I know that area really well. And as confident as I am with FSD and knowing that autonomous is going to happen, like the Cybercab that you see in Austin right now, it's a big difference when you add a trailer to that combination. So if you could put cargo in a Cybertruck, yeah, I could see that being autonomous. But the robotics and the AI will take your job before that will have more of an effect on trucking first.
Thank you, Chad. That's a great segue into the next question, and it has to do with kind of everyone talks about this digital transformation. A lot of people talk about AI. Some people have no business talking about AI. I'm probably one of those people. But for Khalid, where have you seen digital initiatives provide value to your business, and where have they missed the mark?
Yeah, I would say like data is great. I think a lot more data. I think focused towards a specific operation. The more you can kind of trickle down the data and compartmentalize the data to exactly your needs and your niche. I think AI can play a big role into that. Also understanding your cost, your variable cost sometimes depends on a lot more factors to get like precise with it than just toll and fuel costs. And I think with that we still need to see more. I think everybody's racing with AI to think like a human being versus utilizing the data to help the human being make a better decision. And I think that's a missed part.
Yeah, more of like an enablement tool as opposed to a replacement tool.
Correct. Or just, because right now if you want to, like it used to take us a long time to pull some reports. We had the analytics guy to pull reports, maybe a couple of them, and it takes us a week to get a certain number for a lane. Where right now we can just plug all those numbers in, something like ChatGPT, and get them. So integrating that as a tool or weapon for our dispatchers and the people in the operation, there's a lot more need for that than making it, I'd say, smarter. So more of assistant type. So
Yeah, solid. What do you think, Matthew?
I definitely think that the one size fits all on some of the things that are out there with services to truckers is going away quickly. I know last year I was paying for a service that was promising to help me get loads, and I got 0 loads out of it, and I was paying $250 a month, and it's just the one size fits all doesn't actually apply. I think AI is definitely helping us streamline everything, as you were saying. The back office stuff that we can drag and drop our rate cons into the system that we're using, and it just generates everything for us. It initiates a tracking for us. It does everything for us. It's so smooth and easy, and it actually fits what we're trying to do instead of getting a package and there you go. It'll do everything for you. It really won't. So.
Yeah, one of the hardest things to trust to follow up on that is making that decision. I think most of us owner-operators or driven trucks, we dispatched at one point. I don't think anybody off the gate started with the dispatch service, but and that is one of the most sensitive things as an owner of a company to give away to AI. It's making that decision on what rate to take. That final negotiation and that trust, that is the hardest part. And it should be the last part that AI will go into. We got to fix everything else back at the office. If you're an owner-operator on the road and you have 10 trucks, and you have AI doing your maybe some of the safety compliance, some of the billing, some of the QuickBooks stuff or the accounting, that is a lot more help than having somebody pick up and answer the phone. So yeah,
AI is gonna change. This is the part where underappreciated. Where as the trucking community, we're not talking about AI enough. I spend probably several hours every week studying AI. The more I use it, the more I learn. A lot of people get discouraged with AI because it makes mistakes. Yes, it does make mistakes, but it's getting better. And if you look over time, how much it improves in the little bit of time that it uses, it's just unbelievable. Take any load board that you use. DAT, Highway, C.H. Robinson, take any of those load boards, and pull, filter down to what the loads that you want to look at only, screenshot that, or you can copy and paste and put it into the AI you're using. You know, the ones that I pay for. I pay for the advanced versions. Gemini, my favorite. ChatGPT, still like it for graphics, and then Grok. Those are my favorite. Probably a fourth one that I might add later would be Claude. But take any of those screenshots, copy paste the data, and put it into AI, and ask it any question about that data, the data that you put into it, and the results is just amazing of how it can come up with the stuff that it comes up with. Like, I want to take this load to Florida, but when I leave Florida, I want to go back to Georgia. Is what's a good fair rate for this? And I mean, just and then on top of that, start researching the broker that's got the load. I mean, the AI will tell you all of this. I'll give you all the options. This is your best option. For more money, this is your next best option. So, I mean, it's going to play a big part in how we move in the future when it comes to using the load board. That will be, AI will be all about load board activity in the future.
Yeah, and if you don't even want to use the load board, you just come to an exchange, right?
Or an exchange. Yeah, Highways will have an exchange.
Highway does have an exchange.
Yes, Highway has an exchange.
Awesome, thank you.
And that this is and that is the big part of why I am partners with Highway and talking about Highway is I want to be a part of this exchange and advancement in load board activity or exchange activity.
Yeah, and a lot of what you had mentioned there around, taking the screenshots and all the different places that you go to book freight was one of the reasons that we built an exchange that now has 171 brokers that are fully integrated. So instead of going to your 20 tabs on the top, come to one, and that doesn't mean you're getting rid of everything yet, right? It means you have a really good, solid place to start comparing things to. You have a secure place to transact. You have pre-vetted brokers, so a lot of the diligence that you might have done before can get out of the way at the beginning. And then you have a partnership with Triumph where we'll surface what that lane is currently going for, so you can see if it's a good deal or if it's a bad deal, or if this is something that you want to hold off on and go somewhere else, right? So, Matthew, back to you, man. How do you handle capacity and market volatility, aside from grabbing one of those drink tickets from Chad and going to the bar?
The first 2 years of a carrier is typically always a struggle. How I've gotten through it is the relationships I had with the brokers that I've established over the course of the time. And then since December, what has massively increased the revenue that we're bringing in is Highway coming online. I mean, I had such a hard time getting in with brokers because my authority was so new and they didn't want to risk anything on me. And now, since I'm fully set up with Highway, they can trust what I'm doing. So it giving me access to so many brokers and so many loads that I didn't have before has been a game changer for me. Thanks to you guys.
I want to add to that. This is whenever me and Matthew started talking a lot on Facebook. I kind of talked Matthew into getting his authority. He followed my advice and he went down that route. And I'm like, the guy listened to me. He did what I told him to do, and now he's doing it. And now he's coming to me telling me he's having problems working with these brokers. I felt the pain. I'm like, I can't let him fail, because of this happening. And so I felt your pain whenever that was happening. And so I'm glad.
That's last year.
Yeah. And I mean, really done well. Listening to the advice in the group, I only let really good information get out in the group. And he listened to it. I saw they listened to it. I mean, congratulations to this guy. He's done so well to get his authority, to go from being a truck driver to getting his authority and have done as well as he has.
Thank you.
What do you think, Lade?
From our end, I think one of the things that we can do is. What are my thoughts? The question one more time. I thought about
No
three things,
problem.
and that was emotional for me. And I was like, "That's amazing."
no.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It gets emotional for me when
Yeah.
I'm grabbing one of those drink tickets from Chad. So I totally get it.
Oh, market volatility. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Okay.
How are you handling? I mean, and maybe to rephrase it, it's we see tender rejection rates going up,
Yeah.
skyrocketing. We know that we've been kind of in this freight recession for, depending on what you read, who you listen to, what you actually see.
Yeah.
It's between like 5 years, 3 years, blah blah blah,
Correct,
right?
correct.
But it's like, how do we handle the volatility? How do you handle
It's
that?
our time, right? Right, carriers? It's about our time, right?
Yeah.
There we go. No, so I think and I preach this all the time, as a carrier, you have to have an identity. And I say this all the time. So you as a carrier, you have to understand, with one truck, two, three, four trucks, you build your relationship with your brokers. So they kind of know who you are, right? They know what kind of service you provide, what industry you're in, what lanes you like to run. And doing that on a bigger scale is a little bit more challenging, and it has a lot of different departments and different operations, especially if you're running multiple regions and multiple types of equipment. But I think establishing that identity, making sure your customers know who you are and see you face to face is a huge part to it. Me and Serge, the owner, we fly once a month to meet our customers and our brokers, kind of face to face, and see what we could do to improve on our end and what they need to. As a carrier at that scale, you are just an extension of the sales department to the brokers. So understanding that, not relying on any let's say boards or exchanges or anything else like that, but understanding what you need from the trucking industry is a lot better than being reactive to what you got out there and just pick from it. So being more proactive in, this is what I want, this is what I pursue, let me focus on that, this is my identity, and I'm not shifting from it. This is what I'm focused on, I'm committed to it 100%. And I think that's how you're going to ride the wave of the market. We talk about our journey at CB Freight. We tripled our size in the worst 3 years of the industry. So tripled our size in the fleet, and revenue growth and all that good stuff came with it because we focused down on our niche and what we want to do. And you guys can do anything with trucking. I mean, I see anywhere from dump trucks to flatbeds to everything here. So you just got to pick your niche, make identity, and focus on that, and you'll ride any market out there because you understand everything. So you study your numbers too.
I want to talk more about that. You know what? The thing that's sticking out with that I'm really liking about Highway is the identity it does give me. If we go back to all the way up till now, picking up the phone, calling the broker, and having a conversation, telling the broker, "My name is Chad Boblet. I own a truck. Can I do your load?" You have to play the game. You have to play the negotiation game. And the broker, okay, you're Chad Boblet. What does that really mean? I'm just an owner operator carrier of one truck. It's hard to sell that, but with a system like with what Highway is providing, that's telling the broker, okay, look me up. You can see who I am. I check all the boxes. I'm fraud free. I'm a good to go person. Everything that's Highway is going to tell you, it's kind of like gives me a scorecard. I don't have to tell you anything about me. Right here, look it up. It tells you everything. Matthew, he said, "What'd you do at Panther?"
I was a recruiter.
A recruiter at Panther. And the reason why I bring up Panther used to have a vet. I don't think they have it anymore. But a long time ago, the Panther was my secret weapon. I do a lot of talking on Facebook. Well, it's not to promote Panther because they don't even. It's not the same as it used to be. But and I did not promote Panther because I didn't want anybody else to know about Panther when Panther had this. What I call the secret load board, and it was what made it what made it different than any other load board or the exchange, or the way it worked is it was just for the brokers at Panther, is that it would give carriers a scorecard. I think they called it a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 provider. Well, if you were like an expert, you did everything the right way, showed up on time, and gave you a scorecard, I, as an owner-operator carrier, could compete against fleets, and they would pay me more. I could put in higher bids, and the Panther would still call me and let me get the load over the big fleets. This is what Highway is going to do for the small guy. They're going to give us a scorecard and let us compete with the fleets. And they're going to give people that whenever I get someone like Matthew and talk them into getting their authority, they're no longer a new guy. They'll be having a score at the very beginning, and that brokers will be able to trust and be able to use them.
And you're spot on, Chad. I mean, that's why we created friction up front, is to have those eligibility requirements, to get the best people in there, to get the best companies in there, so that we could have that secure transaction at the back end. But also to your point, and I think it's always funny when you're like, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. I got to call my product guy now because he's got some work to do. We got to tier out carriers. I mean, that was for Q2, man, not next week.
This is why I joined.
I know, I get it. But yeah, to your point there, like if you have a closed network exchange, a good example of that is kind of like Robinhood, where anybody with a heartbeat and a credit card and and the ability to like kind of link up your brokerage account can go and buy crypto on Robinhood, right? That would be kind of your minimum level. But then if you want to trade options, you have to kind of meet a couple more standards, right? Now you can go long or short on different companies. And if you actually want to sell options, you have to be an accredited investor, right? So there's different tiers, and that's similar to how we're thinking about building an exchange here. Is you'll have different tiers, and there'll be different value for different people based on those eligibility requirements within that. Back to the questions. All right, Matthew, we're going to start with you again here, man. So brokers and carriers have historically had, let's just call it tension between each other. This is apparent on some Reddit forums, maybe on Chad's channel on Facebook. Do you think the tension is overblown? Is there an opportunity to mend relationships? How do you see that?
I've had bad experiences with some brokerage. I've had bad experiences with brokers at Allen Lund. I just don't deal with that broker anymore. I think that's the biggest thing is building relationship is on both sides. It's both on the broker side and on the carrier side, and also on the driver's side. If you have multiple drivers, your driver can completely destroy that relationship. I think that's the first step in mending it is working on that relationship from both sides and basically just trying to work together as best you can.
Yeah, man. What about you, Khalid?
Yeah, from our end, there's always been tension, obviously, and I think it comes at different levels, right? Different kind of scales from an owner app to running a fleet and a larger fleet and so on and so forth. But from our end, the way we view it with the relationship, we, for instance, in our operations at CB Freight, we don't work with any broker that does not meet our criteria. We have our own vetting system for brokers. And the way we do it, we run credit as well. We also look at that broker's pay history, not only just the days to pay, but how many invoices are actually paid. And then we take a look at where they're located. If they're out of their mother's garage or basement or roof or something like that, we just simply won't work with them. Brokers nowadays have, or historically had, a lot more tools and power in their pocket to destroy carriers sometimes. And that is an unfortunate truth, about the market, but that's how it's always been. So I don't want to put my entire, reputation at risk that we're feeding 300 families on the road in front of the hands of a single-man operation working out of his apartment. So we call, we vet, and then we are very strict on that end. We like the bigger brokerage operations. One, they do have that experience. Number two, if they want to finance their customers, that's great, as long as we get paid. So we'll leave that up to them. But also, if something bad happens and you have a bigger operation that you're dealing with, it's easy to pick up the phone like you did with that person that you didn't like at that company, but now you have a great relationship with their bosses or their colleagues, right? Because you can get a hold of somebody else versus that one guy who still hates you. So that's what kind of we go around. But yeah, it's always tension. But I think we have to work together, especially now in this market. The brokers who treated you good in the bad markets, now you got to hold their hand and kind of return the favor, and that's how you build on it. So
relationships. I'm going to. There's probably. I'm going to take a. This is going to sound like I'm taking a lot of credit, but I don't think there's any other Facebook group, any other media channel, and if there is, you can correct me later or correct me now if you want. That has made more of a change in relationships the way my channel has between brokers and carriers. That's probably what my group is known for the most. And how do I know that? Is because if I recognize a problem and with that a broker, I get involved usually when it starts to look unethical. When unethical behavior happens, is where I step in, and And after 12 years of running this Facebook group, when I see unethical behavior, I can usually get it corrected in less than an hour, sometimes within 30 minutes. That's how fast things get corrected in my group. And I show examples of this all the time, screenshots of it. So when we talk about relationships, going back 12 years ago when I first started the Facebook group called Rate Per Mile Masters, that was a big reason why I started it, and to inform people, to educate them and show them examples of the bad behaviors and unethical stuff that was happening. And we've came a long ways. And I'm not going to mention names, but I've been in the office. Some of the largest one of the largest second largest broker. I don't want to mention names, but I've been in the office. I've been in the office with the CEO. They wanted to know what the changes, what they could do to make changes to make the company better, to give the company a better image. And it come down to how the agents were getting paid, to what led to some of their problems. But I mean, just even that company till now is totally different than what it used to be. And we're constantly that's constantly improving. That was a big part of DAT when reviews came out. That had a huge benefit. It still does in a way. But now, as we get into more trusted, verified, and using AI in the future, those reviews and those relationships, it's going to be more solid. It's making it more safer for the carriers to work with these brokers and the brokers to work with us as well. I mean, there's some really good stuff that's going to happen in the future that's going to make it really great for the carriers when it comes to relationships and being able to trust who you're working with.
I want to follow up real quick because
Let's go.
right before we went on stage, I was actually on highway looking for a load and thinking about establishing relationships. A broker had posted a load, and when I called in, that was not the load that had quoted me, and it was lower than what was posted on there. So it's the little things like that, like you're posting the load on the boards for one thing, and then when I call in, you're immediately trying to undercut it. It's like I'm at least looking for what you just posted.
How did it go?
I called him out and basically said, "Look, this is what you're posted on highway," and he's like, "Well, I'll have to get approval for that." It's like it should have been approved to begin with on that.
I think that highlights maybe one of the mistakes I made when I first started in this industry 7 or 8 years ago was how digitization, automation, and then eventually AI is going to replace as opposed to enable. I was a big proponent of, okay, like we can do this. This will replace like bottom 25% of things right there, and I was wrong. It does have the ability potentially in the future to start replacing things, or maybe tasks, even now tasks that a human shouldn't be doing anyways. What it won't be able to do is replace the human-to-human interaction. The fact that you can call up your person over there and be like, hey, we have this relation, like do right by me, right? You do right by me, I'll do right by you. And if it does, I have built agents. That means it's sentient. I'm probably the first person it's going to kill. So let's just pray to God it doesn't. Cursing out AI agents, I don't recommend it. Treat them the same way you treat other people. Okay, here, let's start with Khalid on this one. If you could redesign any piece of the freight transaction, what would it be and how would you do it?
Any piece of the freight transaction. I think we talked, we thought about this before as closing the entire loop, leaving any kind of friction out of there. And I think with the technology that we have right now, Highway is doing a great job at that as well, is providing all the tools that we can to not only just vet the brokers, vet the carrier side, but vet the brokers as well. I think if we can we're almost close to closing that loop for the transaction, that it does not deal with multiple hands. That's a huge part of it. Also, educating the shippers, as brokers, educating your shippers and your receivers on what kind of standard or SOPs they have to do on security and checks and verifying. Those things. Maybe one day somebody will come up with a highway for drivers themselves. to kind of as an ID to when you go to the pickup location. You already have the driver's information vetted in there. But just closing that last loop from broker to carrier to driver right up to the billing part of it, and to make sure we get paid, because there's a lot of scams go behind that part as well. I think that will be the biggest thing, and we're so close to it, and we can feel just who could get to the race faster. So.
Okay, I want to keep talking about everything he just said. Yes, the whole the Facebook group Rate Per Mile Masters. Why did I name it that? Rate per mile was a huge importance to me whenever I was driving and then drove a lot. So much time every time I would call so much of that 14-hour clock. Well, that 14 hours that the driver gets really doesn't start with all that dispatching. When you're dispatching yourself and all those phone calls you're making, and receiving poster truck, the brokers are calling you and you're calling on the load. I used to spend numerous amount of hours. I'm the type of person, I want to get the highest paying load. You look up 3 o'clock hustle and Chad Boblet, and you'll see a video of this lady talking about the 3 o'clock hustle. I paid her to make the video for me because I thought it was so important of how to negotiate and get the highest rate. Anyway, I said that to say this. The thing that I'm looking forward to in the future, and it will happen, is where we can book freight in the future without having to make that phone call. I shouldn't have to ask the broker, okay, what does it weigh? It's automotive parts. It says 45,000 pounds. That is a lie. Automotive parts don't weigh 45,000 pounds. What does it really weigh? And unless it's auto glass, there's certain stuff that truck drivers automatically know. When I read it and the broker posts that lie, it's not really a lie. It's just the broker's uninformed. They don't know. I think we're moving to a point in the future where a lot of that's is going to go away, of having to call the broker and ask them that little bit of information, because that is such a huge waste of time for the driver to make so many of those phone calls and receive so many of those phone calls when we already know so much about the broker. And we already know so much about the load. The carrier knows so much about the broker's going to know about the carrier. It should be a click. If they like me and I like them, why not go ahead and click on the load and get it?
Yeah, and you can do that, on a lot of these places already. And a lot of what you just described was what I find is it's not nefarious. It's garbage in, garbage out. It's somebody fat-fingered something. It's they got an EDI tendered into their TMS and it didn't modify the fields properly, and then it gets integrated into a digital booking experience, and now it automatically says 45,000 pounds because everything's 40, right? Because that's just easy, right? And if you put yourself in that carrier rep's shoes, they're coming in and they have a board that they're they need to find 10 trucks before noon, right? And so they're hustling. They don't care about one load that has the wrong thing on it.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, and brokers can correct me if I'm wrong, but their customers have the portals that they put the loads in themselves. So they put that information, they just kind of pass it along through the system if you're running a bigger operation. So a lot of times it is the customers, that doesn't put that information in there correctly. So it gets trickled down to the driver. But I agree with Chad. If we can get everything else in one shot, that'll be amazing. So yeah, that'll be great. We can hold the customer responsible for that.
Yeah, I'm having Andrew message our product guy right now. We got a lot of things. we already got a lot of things moving for you guys.
10%, just, sure.
Yeah. If it wasn't free already, it'd be free for you. Okay, this is, you talked about this a little bit, Khalid, already, so I'm going to, I think you already hit on it, so I'm going to go to Chad on this and then back around the table. But you talked a little bit about data. And it seems like we're drowning in data. We have so much more access to data than we ever have. But clean data, at least in my opinion, and I find this just in my day-to-day, getting clean data is incredibly difficult. And then being able to leverage that data in a way that actually provides value is even more difficult. So the question is, what is one data point or one data source you wish you had more visibility into? Chad, we'll start with you.
More data that I wish I had more visibility into. I'm a data collecting person. I love data. Probably data is the thing that set me apart from other owner operators. If I said, how was I successful as a carrier from the very beginning? and I can't say this without mentioning my wife, because without my wife, I probably wouldn't have been as successful as I am. My wife is Japanese, and she don't mind punching in the data. And having all that data, that the stuff that we put into QuickBooks, which is all your accounting stuff. Having that punching in, what your mileage is after you finish a load, what your mileage is when you start a load, knowing what your rate per mile is, even from mile per gallon. Did I get better mile per gallon this fill up than I did last fill up? One load versus the next load. Being able to collect all that data. And now you can, if you're collecting this data, you can put this data into AI, and AI will tell you just a numerous more stuff about your data than you know yourself. How you're comparing to other carriers means a lot to me. And in the future, so what data do I want to see in the future happen is give me a scorecard of how well I'm doing with other carriers, how they are doing compared to myself. Not that I need to be number one, but I don't want to be below average.
We all love winning. What do you think, Matthew?
I get lost in the data a lot. That's why I have somebody else handling it for me. Mike handles a lot of the data stuff. It's he definitely is using it to keep us on track, keep us pushing forward. I think there's way too much data coming in. Sometimes I think there's too much overlap with the data. I get a broker that wants me using their tracker, plus I have to use the other tracker, plus my ELD is another tracker, and it's like, can't you guys just work together and use the one source? It would make things so much easier. I think that we're drowning in too much accessorial data.
Two things that was just mentioned. Matthew is a brand new carrier. He's using someone to help him understand to collect and understand his own data. I used my wife from the very beginning. I didn't know nothing, but I knew I had to keep track of this data to be able to. It's like CEO type of information. Just because I'm a one-track guy, CEOs from big corporations, they use that information. They use that data to be able to make their business great. We should be doing the same as an owner-operator carrier.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all that, and I touched on it a little bit. But, at our level, we use our own internal data at this point. We collected, at least 3, 4, 5 years worth of good data since we switched our TMS, and we kind of use that to our advantage. Outside data is always good too, to use as a benchmark for something. So you can always benchmark, what's the average cost per mile for a fleet of this size or a fleet of that size, and you can play with the numbers a little bit, but. Having your own data from day one, especially at a larger scale, it's I think the most accurate, especially if you're a little bit more specialized, because almost everybody as an owner-operator is starting out within that, I would say 100 truck size, 50 truck size, 75 truck size. You do operations a little bit different than J.B. Hunt or Schneider or some of the big guys out there. So having your own data from day one, you always want to kind of keep track of that and kind of reference that and see how you're doing, year by year compared to the market out there. The fuel nowadays is going crazy, for instance. So you have to understand your numbers very, very well. We have a great CFO in our company. I have 2 analytics guys that are doing it, plus a very expensive TMS, which I'm not going to name right now. But all those are pouring data. And if I just need something or need to look at something, I just tell my analytics team, hey, I need to understand exactly how much it costs me to do exactly this. Or shipping a rocket ship to Kodiak, Alaska, which we're doing next month. So we need to understand kind of, the operations side, safety side, and all those things. So we have the data. We just have to have the, smart and level-headed guys to actually do it, which I'm grateful for them. I just get to make the decision. So
one more thing about that. Rate per mile. It's nothing but data. And usually that is the first piece of advice I can give anyone whenever we start talking about data is whenever someone has a question, how do I get better rate per mile? How do I get better fuel economy? Is knowing what your number is. Kevin Rutherford once mentioned, he gave me this piece of advice, and it actually works. The cheapest way to get better mile per gallon is to know what your mile per gallon is. Until you know that, you're not going to improve it. How do you lose weight? Know what your weight is. If you don't know, that's the best. Mile, it's just the same thing when it comes to rate per mile. That's how I came up with the name. You're never going to improve that rate per mile unless you know what that rate per mile is, because anything that's less than your average will make you sick if you take that load.
Yeah, you're spot on. How do you guys see the difference between and I don't know if you guys think about it like this yet, but the difference between rate per mile and rate per hour?
For me, well, you know, I did a commercial for Uber Freight, and I mean, it pops in my head, and they asked me a question. It comes on CNBC sometimes. You know, they talk about Uber and their stock, and they play this video, which and it's a picture of me when. But during that video, they asked the same question. They asked, why rate per mile? Why not rate per hour? And I said, the question was, what's more important? And I said, rate per mile. Everything being average and considered normal, of course, you know, if it takes all day and you're only doing 10 miles, you know, that's not really average. That's why I've always said rate per mile. But of course, time is more important. If you're not making a profit that day, you know, it kind of so time is of importance. But everything being equal, everything being average, rate per mile is going to mean the most to me.
I'm actually at more towards the rate per hour side because my main account is actually multi-stop LTL. So I have a base rate of rate per mile, but then I get each stop pay. There's certain stops that are going to take longer than average. So all that's built in. So all my stuff is actually integrated more on the hour side.
I'm going to actually go on both. I think they go hand in hand very, very well. Because depending on what you're running, like if, you know, because we run a small reefer fleet and it's a nightmare. We just started with that. So, but, you know, yeah, if flatbed side, you're in and out. You know, you're in 30 minutes, you're out, you get unloaded, get offloaded very quick. You know, the drivers, we do get, you know, extra sometimes tar pay and stuff like that, depending on the weather and the operation. But waiting on those docks a long time, not only does the contractor, the owner operator, the driver needs to get compensated for those, but it also kills the bottom line of the company as well, because we are expected to run an average X amount of miles or X amount of miles per day, per month for that truck in order to make the revenue. Any numbers you want to punch in, if you want to calculate your rate per mile, you have to put an average mile you're going to drive every month at an average time you have to get that achieved. So they have to go kind of hand in hand. You know, if I had to pick one of the two, I'll go per hour. You know, from an ops guy, pay me per hour, even if I'm driving or not. And then if I'm waiting against docks, at least I'm a happy camper. So I'm not spending the money on fuel.
The detention plays a big part in this. So when it comes to rate per mile, I know, because I've done this so many times, I know when it comes to detention, I know what loads are going to, I don't know it, none of us want to get detention. Probably the hardest thing for an owner-operator to do is to negotiate detention. They fear negotiating the broker about the detention. Like maybe they might not get the load at all if they tell the broker, I want $50 an hour after the first 2 hours, non-ending. I like to add that because that's my saying. Because if it sounds bad, I'm going to say it's non-ending. Usually Amazon says, no, we're not giving that to you. Or anybody dispatching an Amazon load, we're not giving non-ending detention because they have problems. I know, so like whenever I live in Lexington, Kentucky, and this is automotive heaven, and when you're an owner-operator in this area, I seek out and search automotive freight. Why? Because it's easy on, easy off. Wherever you're going to, they want their freight. You know, it's when it hits the spot market. And you know, if it's recyclables, anything recyclables, they don't care about your time. Those loads are going to eat away at your time. Usually, the more it weighs, the less it pays. I made that ditty up. You're going to be at that dock. They're going to take all. They're going to maximize as much as they can for that dry van trailer, and it's going to eat up a lot of your time. They're being as efficient as you can. So I seek out those loads that only weigh 20,000, 30,000 pounds. Not that a regular truck can't pull. Can't pull more than that. You know, a van can pull easily 45,000 pounds, but the more it weighs, the less it pays, and it eats in, and it eats into your time. Those light loads are quick, easy in, and easy off. I love expedited freight.
Last time I got detention was junior year of high school, and I wasn't able to pay my way out either. Miss Kern was, yeah. All right, last question, guys. We're approaching time. All right, so if we had a betting market for freight, what one or two things would you be going long on? So what would you be betting on in this market and in freight right now?
Based on my experience as a recruiter and what's going on with AI and everything right now, I would say bet on line haul being the first to have the drivers replaced. So if you're going hub to hub, you're the first jobs that are going to be replaced because it's a lot easier to program that dedicated lane into a system than it is for what's going to come up in, that are on the boards right now.
Yeah, I'll go along with that, and I'm always advocate for identity and specializing. So specialize, specialize, specialize. Get into either an area that you like running, a type of equipment that you like running, a certain commodity that you like hauling. Specialize as much as you can, even if you have to diversify across different states with the same product, or across the same area with different trailer types. Like let it know like, hey, this is Louisville, Kentucky. I'm the carrier here. I do everything. Or I'm the seafood guy, or I am the steel guy. So specialize as much as you can. Get known with those customers, those brokers. Go to trade shows, expose yourself, build an image for yourself, and that's that's my advice. So bet on yourselves. That's the best bet you can do.
We're going into a market flip. This is going to be a note for my speech tomorrow. I'll be up there doing this talk tomorrow. But the one thing I would tell any owner operator carrier, spread the word because I don't know how many we have in here, is if, fingers crossed, if I can cross my fingers, is if the market flips and it goes back into a carrier market and things starts really, and we start getting an abundance of freight like it has in the past, like right after COVID, a secret here, and I wouldn't tell you this if I was still driving. I'll tell you now because I'm not competing with you. But and this is where I made it. Every time the market flipped, I always made big money in power only. I think that in the future, if the market flips, it will definitely be a huge money maker, is power only. And I say that a lot of carriers have downsized. And when the market goes down, the downsize, they got a lot of trucks sitting. They can't hire drivers, these big fleets, they can't hire drivers fast enough. But the big fleets, they have access to a lot more freight than they can pull themselves. And the way they get one of the things that they do to get access to all these loads is put it in their trailers. I think once Knight told me one time when it was just Knight that they had 5 trailers for every truck. I mean, it might be different now, but a lot of these fleets have a lot more trailers than they have trucks. They'll get these trailers loaded, but they don't have the drivers to pull them. And just that, and they want as much of that market share as they can. They want to please their customer and get it and keep the broker from being able to tap into it. This turns into very lucrative money for power only, and it's easy. It's easy. There's some. Follow me in my group, and I'll tell you about the pros and cons. I'm right now just throwing the pros at you, but. When it comes to this power only, it's very easy, fun. You're dropping hook and you're off to the next one, and it's lucrative, especially when these carriers can trust you. And once they can trust you, because you're pulling their trailer, there's a certain amount of trust that they have to. They won't give it to just anybody.
Yeah, solid. We're approaching time now. What I'm going to do is kind of just round table. You guys can give your parting shots, parting thoughts. I'll start with mine. We do have a QR code up here. This gives you access to either the web or mobile version of Highway's Trusted Freight Exchange. Over 170 pre-vetted brokers sharing over 50,000 loads a day within the marketplace that can be bid, booked, called, or emailed on today. So if you are looking to help yourselves with backhauls, or if you are looking for good freight from good people out there, great place to start. Matthew, what do you got, man?
I would remind everyone that trucking is a skilled trade, and one of the things that we used to have in the skilled trades that we don't have in trucking right now is apprenticeships. We're not helping the new guys get started, come up. Yes, Chad has an amazing group that helped me, but it's the one-on-one stuff. I don't want to be constantly bothering Chad when he's got other stuff going on. We need to establish more apprenticeships, not just on coaching owner-operators, not just coaching drivers, brokers as well. I think that apprenticeships need to come back into this industry.
Yeah, appreciate everybody coming here. I don't know if we're gonna have questions or not. We're gonna have time for that, but thank you all for coming to see us. One thing I would say about the industry, I think along with apprenticeships, I think more of the lawmaking side and more of the enforcement side from DOT, law enforcement, stuff like that, need to actually be a little bit more closer to us and kind of what we have to deal with in a real, loading, offloading situation, really what's going on at those docks and the hours and, kind of the entire operation. I think listening more to what we have to deal with versus, I think I read some stat that the DOT, 85% of the manpower of the DOT is in aviation or something like that, which was so interesting to me that 50% only is allocated to trucking on the road, which I feel like should be a lot more allocated towards trucks on the ground.
That's backwards, right? Because like 80% of
Correct.
like the freight is moving
Correct, by
over the
trucks.
road at some point.
So more of that I would say, and that's it from our end. I think more education. I am giving a class tomorrow at 3:45 about how to why most fleets stall at 25 trucks. So I'd love everybody to come there to give you some tips and tricks how to grow your fleet from the 10, 15, 25. If you want to try to scale from that end. But I appreciate you having us. Yeah.
Love that.
Again, my name is Chad Boblet. My email address is chad@chadboblet.com if anybody wants to contact me. But the best way is through my channel, which is Rate Per Mile Masters, the Facebook group. And my Facebook group, again, has been around for 12 years. And the sales that my group currently generates is over 10 million per month. And all that just happens in a Facebook group. So some people say, "Oh, it's just a Facebook group." No, 10 million's a big number. 10 million per month. That's a big number we're doing in sales. And I take care of all my members. If they don't have problems, when they do have a problem, they come to me and I get it solved. So good. It's a good resource if anybody wants to join.
Thank you all very much for your time. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I'll be around if you guys will be around over here and probably grabbing one of those drinks from Chad here to talk some more.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing about the drinks. I'm getting ready to head over there right now to the very front entrance and handing out free drinks, beer. I think they give you a shot of liquor, maybe. But it's the beer. It's the beer, so we can have some fun. And I'll meet y'all over there if y'all want it, and we'll talk more about Highway or Triumph.